can fix this. Hey guys, welcome back to the Bald Shredder channel, and yes, I have finally gotten around to trying to fix one of my AliExpress guitars. It's been like a year and a half since I did the review video on this one, way back in February 2022. And in case you didn't see that video, or you have forgotten, the issue was with the bridge here and the tuning stability. So what would happen, guys, is I'd use the whammy a little bit, and then the bridge would not return to its like straight parallel position. It would be like a little bit too far forward usually, or maybe a little bit too far back. So it was always like going out of tune every time that I would use it. And when I took a really close look, or even not that close, but I took a look at the two posts here, the two posts holding the bridge in place, both of the posts were leaning forward, like towards the neck, rather than being like perfectly straight up and down, perfectly perpendicular with the body like they are supposed to be. And when I saw that, I just assumed that they accidentally drilled the holes kind of at an angle. That's what I assumed would happen. And then finally, this last summer, when I went to go visit my mom and my stepdad, and my stepdad is like the ultimate handyman and really good with tools and fixing things and that kind of stuff.
Got this ultimate set of tools.
I took this body with me with the idea that he's gonna help me fix those two holes in the studs. Like, probably we'll pull the studs out, we'll plug them, and then we will re-drill the holes. Well, he's really meticulous and he really puts a lot of thought, especially when he's working on one of my guitars with me, because he's helped me in the past. He wants to be really careful because, he wants to do it right, first of all, but he also doesn't wanna like mess up the guitar. So I'm thankful for that. So we probably spent like 2 hours looking at it and talking about it, and his initial concern was like, okay, we can pull out the studs and everything, and then if we plug the holes with something, he was thinking like something like walnut, like a really hard wood. His concern was that when we re-drill the holes for the studs, that we're gonna pretty much drill out everything that we put in there. Like all that wood, the walnut or whatever, it's just gonna be all drilled out to fit the studs again, and it kind of like, it's not really gonna help anything. So we were going back and forth on this, talking about it, and the other thing was like, well, we need to make sure that those holes are drilled exactly in the right spot, not a little bit too far that way, or this way, or forward, or whatever, because, we want the strings to line up, we want it to be in that perfect 25.5-inch length for the intonation. So a lot of concerns there. What we finally found out, after talking about it forever, when we took the studs out, well, after we took the bridge off and everything, the studs practically just fell out. And that's because those holes were a little bit wider than the actual studs. What had happened is, I guess this wood was a little bit too soft, and the pressure, the strings pulling on the bridge, pulling it this way, had pushed the studs forward into the wood, making those holes a little bit bigger than they needed to be. So I guess what I'm saying is that when they made the guitar, they did drill the holes straight up and down, perpendicular, but the tension on the strings pulled those studs this way a little bit, which made them, lean in a little bit. So now we're looking at the holes, it's like, okay, yeah, the holes were where they needed to be, they were straight, but it kind of pushed in the wood a little bit. So again, luckily, being the meticulous handyman that he is, he's like, okay, I got an idea. I've got these little sheets, these little thin sheets of brass that he can cut, and they're bendable. So what he ended up doing is he put little pieces of brass and he bent them to, go around the front of the studs. He put a little bit of brass material just in the front of the stud. On this part, right in the front, not on the sides and the back, just to fill in that part of the hole that had, kind of opened up from them pushing on the wood. And he put on that one, and then on that one, and kind of wrapped it around the front of the stud. And then we put them in there, and then they were nice and snug. And I want to say they're not perfectly straight up and down perpendicular, but pretty close, and definitely way, way, way better than they were before. Okay, so that was the first thing I did. And there was actually 3 things that I did that I hoped would help with the tuning stability when using the whammy. So fixing the studs, putting those little pieces of brass in there, that was number 1. Then, when I got the guitar back home, back to California, and I was assembling it back together, I put 3 springs in there because initially when I had gotten the guitar from AliExpress and I was trying to do my setup and stuff, I took one of the springs out because I thought, oh, I'll only need 2 springs because on another guitar that I have with this same style of Wilkinson bridge, it only has 2 springs and it works great and it stays in tune. So I thought, well, I should just do the same thing with this one. But then because of the tuning issues, and some people recommended it in that initial video from last time saying you should put 3 springs instead of 2. So I'm like, okay, I'll try that. So now we've got 3 springs in there. And then the third thing, guys, I took off just the regular chrome tuners and I put locking tuners. Now, does that help with the tuning stability? Well, I cannot say for certain that it does or it does not. Some people claim that locking tuners are only good for like helping with string changes and that it has nothing to do with tuning stability. So I don't know. And since I didn't do these things like one at a time and then check it, I can't say for sure like, well, it was just putting in that little bit of brass. That's what helped. Or it was just that 3rd spring. Or it was definitely just the locking tuners because I did all 3 of them at the same time. But all I can tell you is the end result. After doing those 3 things, putting on a new set of Ernie Ball Super Slinkies, setting it up, now it plays fantastic, just like it did before, but the tuning stability is like 100% better than it was. And it pretty much returns to that level spot where I have it set up as, it's not a double locking trem, so I can't say if I'm doing like super crazy dive bomb whammy stuff that it's gonna return to perfect pitch, but just the mild whammy stuff that I like to do, yeah, it pretty much stays in tune. So I'm just so much happier now and so glad that I made those changes and that I basically fixed it. And now that I've done those things, I think this might very well be my best AliExpress guitar. Because remember guys, this was a custom order and I specifically asked them to give me a thin neck profile and I asked for the extra jumbo frets, which they did, and the neck was unfinished and then I finished it in tung oil. So it's a really good, slick, fast neck, good fretwork. I did not have to level the frets. I'm able to get low action and it just plays fantastic now. So yeah, I really like this guitar. Now of course I need to do a little shredding on this, right? So yeah, here we go. Guys, now I'm also gonna play you the video clip back from the original video where I did an all-new original song. That song is called Motion Detector. You're gonna see it here in just a second, and it is on my album Speed of Light. So if you like this tune, you want to hear more stuff like that, you can get Speed of Light as well as my latest CD, Dawn of the Shredder, from my eBay store right now. So I'll have a link for that down in the description. All right, check it out. Motion Detector. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed that. Be sure to let me know what you think down in the comments. And as usual, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.